Hey everybody, welcome to Average Guy Opinions. I'm your average guy, John Corelli, and it is snowing as you can see here in Denver this New Year's Eve. And I think it's perfectly fitting that since it looks like we will have a white New Year's, that I talk about the unfortunate death of Betty White. Um, I gotta come inside because it's cold. Um, Unfortunately, one of our favorite actresses in the iconic American entertainment industry has passed away at age 99. Most of us knew that she would be dying, or would be turning 100 on January 22nd. Um, what an amazing date, first of all, right? To be born on 1/22/22 and to have turned 100 on 1/22/22. Um, uh, I want to talk about Betty White, but I also want to talk about some other another person who died in one of my favorite shows ever. I just remember this show so fondly, and I'm going to start off with the theme song because I think it's an iconic, wonderful theme song. I think it helped punctuate the women's movement in the '70s, and I just the show was just well done and funny. So, without further ado, who can turn the world on with a sun? Who can take a nothing day and suddenly make it all seem worthwhile? Well, it's you, girl, and you should know it. With each glance and every little movement you show it. Love is all around the way you do it. You can I love this show. You're gonna make it after all. You're gonna make it after all. Okay, what a great show, huh? I loved it. I grew up with it. I I remember um, it was right about the time my mom was getting divorced. It was the mid '70s. Women's rights were, or at least the hope of women's rights, were at an all time high. And the show, like I said, I was also a big Dick Van Dyke Show fan, and of course, Mary Tyler Moore was one of the stars of the Dick Van Dyke Show. Sorry, guys, I left this on. Did not mean to. Doing an homage to Mary Tyler Moore here, but I mainly want to talk a bit about Betty White. But I also want to talk about the cast of Mary Tyler Moore and Ed Asner, who I completely missed this year. I thought I had heard that he had died, but he died also this year. And as you know, I've peppered this channel with homages to actors and famous people that died. I've tried to do it in a timely manner, the day they died or the day after. Ed Asner died back on August 30th, and was also a very iconic actor. Played even up into his well into his 80s, was still acting, and just like Betty White, these two are really a wonderful, iconic, great comedic actors, but great actors overall. I think they've each won. I don't know about Academy Awards, but I'm sure Betty White won Emmys, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ed Asner also won Emmys. And when it comes to turning 100, I also celebrated that earlier this year with my ex-wife's grandmother, Millie, who turned 100 back in February. And then she should turn, I say should, the odds get obviously way lower as you pass the triple digit mark, but in February she will turn 101, which is amazing. Amazingly vibrant people. There's got to be a lot of secrets to living that life. Think about it. Think about hateful people and how they usually don't make it. Some people do. Sometimes there are horrible people that make it well into their triple digits. Strom Thurmond wasn't the greatest guy, but I don't want to go on about him. I'm gonna water the flowers and not the rocks as we go into the new year. But Betty White, this is where I remember her as Georgette. The Basically, I don't want to say slutty, but that was kind of her character, and she played it so well. She was hitting on almost all the men all the time on the show. If you ever get to watch any reruns of Mary Tyler Moore, pick out if you can pick out the ones with Betty White in them as Georgette. I forgot her last name. Was it Lewis? But it doesn't matter. She was hilarious. She'd hit on everybody. She'd hit on Ted Baxter. She'd hit on Mr. Grant. She'd hit on Murray, who was played by Gavin McLeod, who was later the captain of the Love Boat. And it was just a great cast, you know. So So many funny people. They had two spin-offs come about because of the show. It's my father calling. I will decline that. I'll talk about him later. But it was just a very iconic show for the time. This very powerful yet tiptoey woman trying to become a journalist in a male dominated field, and but wanting to forge her way on her own, with some people that were supportive, to be fair, and some that weren't. Like Mr. Grant was like the iconic middleman, right? He was like where the white and the black of the yin and yang hit the gray, right? Where he's like, yeah, I don't really care that you're a woman. You're either good or you're not. There's a meritocracy. That there was him. Then there were the Ted Baxters of the world, like, you can't do it. You're a woman. Even though Ted Baxter played it, was a complete idiot. He's just a pretty face that was an anchorman. And then you had the guys on the other side, like Murray, one of the main writers of the news, who said, "Oh yeah, I trust you, Mary, and you have all my support, more support than I might even give my male counterparts, because I know you've probably had to work harder to get here." But the show was just funny. And like I said, Betty White was wonderful in it. I think one of the problems, if you're going to turn 100, it's got to be difficult to see so many of your friends and contemporaries and loved ones die before you do. That's got to be difficult. I think she outlived, Betty White did, all of her Golden Girls. She outlived Estelle Getty, she outlived Rue McClanahan, and she outlived B. Arthur. All iconic actresses for the last half of the 20th century. And so I don't know how much that takes out of you, but what I was going to say earlier was about the nice people. The nice people tend to live longer for the most part. Betty White, I've never heard a bad thing about her. That's why I kind of thought it was fitting to be out there, white as the driven snow, as the saying goes, to talk about Betty White. We know that she, or most of us know, she was a champion for animals. I think the ASPCA was her big one. Mary Tyler Moore was also. And just like, I just loved the thought of all these nice people just being together and making a wonderful show. Like I say, it's in my top 10, as is the Dick Van Dyke Show. Unfortunately, there are very few people living from that show anymore, because it was a show of the 70s. I got to be honest, I'm aging. It's been 45 years since the show was on the air. So we're losing those people, which is sad, but it's also, I choose not to look at the sadness of it. When people make it past 80, I'm one of those guys, and I'm not trying to be harsh or mean, but that is above average. If you made it above 80, like John Madden, I wasn't sad that he died. I was sad about all the stuff that I miss about those guys and what they represented and the time they were iconic and important and relevant. That's the way I feel about Betty White. Betty White, another thing you may or may not know about her, she was the oldest person ever to host Saturday Night Live, which is amazing. She was like 89, I believe. So it was like 10, 12 years ago. She's 88, 89 years old. And if you read any biopics about Saturday Night Live, there's a reason that show was run on coke for the first 10 years. You needed it. You needed to find something. Almost all of those people were sporting some side or using some kind of drugs, or just summoning some energy to write and produce and then act in a show. And you have to rehearse too. It's not like you just read cue cards. Oh, that was well written. No, you have to. It's a hard week. You ask anyone that's ever done it, young or old. But Betty White did it when she was 89. I think she was by far the oldest person to ever do it. So what a vibrant, amazing woman. I think she's a perfect person. It's sad that she died earlier today or last night. I'm not sure exactly when, but it's sad that she died at the end of the year, that she won't get to see her 100th birthday. But let's celebrate her amazing life and all that she did, not only for people, make people like me laugh during a rough divorce, frankly, and to see the strong side of women in a great sitcom that represented so much greatness and so much humor, but also just to live the way she lived doing. I mean, she was acting since the 40s. She's been doing it. She did it for 80 years. It's an incredible feat. And it's just great that, and then, like I said, her championing of animals, and just, she seemed like just a great person. Like I said, did you ever hear a bad thing about Betty White? No, you didn't. I wish I could have put a little more of this video into Ed Asner, but I didn't. I apologize to Ed Asner, who also played Santa Claus and Elf, which was wonderful. Like I said, these were just wonderful, iconic actors, and I just also wanted to pay some homage to the Mary Tyler Moore Show, because it was great. Thanks, you guys, for listening. I got 2 more of these to go. I appreciate your listenership, your watchership, And I may have to call this channel, like I've mentioned lately, tangentializing. It is an actual word. I looked it up. It tends to be what I do. I often get lost and just kind of trail off like a 90-year-old man. And by the way, Betty White was doing better at 100 than I am at 54. So good for you, Betty White. All of you, I hope you have a happy new year. I got 2 more of these to go, so you'll see a little more of me probably in the next couple hours. Thanks so much. Here's to you, Betty White. All I got is water in front of me, but she probably drank a lot of this because she was a pretty healthy lady. So here's to you, Betty White. And here's to all of you. Thanks, you guys. See you soon. Bye.